Yeah, I'm first gonna open this up with put my Patreon onto the chat, and so people can see that. And it's also the bottom of the uh, it's also the bottom of the description. And for this one, it's basically going to be on where we're going to be going forward with this channel and how we're going to approach it. And not necessarily anything bad with it. So for any of you out there, don't worry. It's not going to be anything bad. It's just what we're going to be doing this is merely just going to be an uh, merely kind of an update on what we're doing, and just kind of showing where we're going at. And what is basically going to be doing is, because I've been kind of feeling that this channel has been kind of where the channel is kind of owning where I want to go, where been owning me instead of me kind of owning the channel. I feel that I need to kind of get back a hold of where everything is going and make sure we can get the content back where I feel that I can enjoy it a lot more. And I feel that's a major part that we need to focus on. And this is something that's very, very important. And not necessarily that we're going to be abandoning any of the actual core message of the actual channel. Now, this is not what we're going after. What we're going after is we're going to put the channel up with the idea of making sure that that with the types of content that we're going to get is going to be the same type of content, but I'm just going to back it up a little bit and make sure that I can focus on other things in my life as well, and make sure that some of the other types of content that I was originally doing I can kind of catch up on as well. That's something I feel is very, very important, and we should be able to kind of get to a lot of different ideas, and I don't want to essentially abandon them and where I can't have a diverse type of channel. They'll focus on a bunch of different issues and a bunch of different aspects, and I don't want to keep focusing on keep pounding the ground on a lot of like political issues. And I felt that that's where I was going too often, and it just got I don't want to essentially keep getting into that area, because there's a lot of other channels that are doing that. And I was getting to the point where I was starting to get a little bit stressed out from that actual method, and I felt like I had to get out my morning podcast, my morning live stream, my podcast, and my night stream, and I had to do this regardless of anything else. And it was really starting to physically wear me out, and I didn't want to get to that point of being like burnt out real quick. So I felt just kind of take a little bit of a mental understanding of what I need to do. Don't be stressed out with it. Kind of realize what you want to do with the channel, and mentally kind of figure out what you want to do and reapply it. And with this reapplication, I feel that I can actually get back to what was the original idea, and to apply it in such a way that we can actually get to something that people will enjoy, that I can get to a more broad sense of more content. And some of it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, but it's going to be exploring a little bit more of what I want to do with the channel. Some of it might go off a little bit off topic of the original 2 points, being history and politics, but it's that I might go off on my own type of thing with that, just to kind of do relaxing type of posts, just for kind of humorous things or relaxing things, but it'll kind of give you more of an aspect of what I am as a creator. I think it's very, very important. I might also, because I'm looking at taking a trip out to the Philippines in July, so I'll probably try to get as much content out there as well, and I'll probably do somewhat of a somewhat vacation videos so you can see me, my parents, and my fiance, as well as my fiance's family out there. See if we can't get some content of that, uh, and see if we can't get a good video of the good amounts of videos of the uh, Philippines. See if I can't send it back here to my computer and see if I can put them together and or at least put some photographs together and do like essentially a slide and an explanation or something. Even if I can't do video, if I can do a slide, if I can do a slide of photos and explain what was going on in the photo and kind of give you kind of an explanation of my trip out there, because that might be something that might be interesting to people. They're interested in maybe traveling abroad, because it's definitely being halfway around the world. It's something that's that a lot of people don't get to experience, because especially with people in even my neighborhood, a lot of them haven't even gone out of the country, if not out of the realm of the state. Even so, we're talking that going out of the country is a big thing. Even though they're very, very interested in a lot of other cultures when it comes to food. And I think that is something that's that I can even explore on this site as well, and start to kind of showcase that, because before I ended up getting my degrees, I used to be a chef, and that was my career before then, is culinary arts. But I ended up having the back injury that ended up causing me to have a spinal fusion, where they had to remove the whole disc, and that ended up causing a massive change. I might do some kind of life stories and kind of more inspirational stuff as well, and kind of telling people to kind of do the stiff upper lip type of thing, and I might focus on that, because that's something where it can be inspirational to people, and it's something that can help people, because I believe that in the long run is I like actually being able to help people and kind of getting them back in the right path. And a lot of times with the way a lot of people are, they tend to be very, very negative out there, and it's just not a good thing. And it's at least what I've seen. And I feel that it's very, very important to be very, very positive out there in life. And damn it. And it's something that's uh, and it's something that I think that can go forward and be interesting for the channel. Sorry about that delay. That was actually a Facebook message from my fiance, and I'm kind of going back and forth with that and with this live stream. and and basically is I think that if we kind of if I kind of work to develop this page to be a lot more diverse, where I can kind of show some things. Um, so so basically the what I have right now is with the ideas is basically is trying to kind of get some different points of view where I can kind of add a little more humorous content, maybe some reaction videos like I was doing before. I mean, if you look with it, you'll see some like you'll see one of them's animal reaction video. One of them's actually based on homework answers, so I might want to. One of them's basically on. One of them's based on. Yeah, one of them's based on the based on my so I would kind of look at those so I want to do more of those, and then the end thing I want to do is to do more of the um, and I also want to do the And then with the so with the future of the channel, I just want to basically ensure. Sorry, I had to do something for a second. But so for the future of the channel is basically those things. I might have other things if I want to add on any type of other type of. I've thought of in the past adding type of gameplays on onto my channel as well, because I do in my leisure time play games as well, so I might add those onto the thing just for more leisure. See if anybody kind of enjoys that, and then not 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 that I'm great at video games, but just what it calls see if anybody enjoys the any type of playthroughs, because they know that that's gotten popular. But I usually play more. And basically uh, see if anybody wants to enjoy that, and then I'll do some reaction videos, and I'll still continue with a lot of the historic things and historic different things, and I'll find different topics to go over. Maybe go with some more interesting topics, because I added on the thing of the serial killers, finding more interesting things on those. With that, I'm actually working on an interesting one right now with on Jack the Ripper. That one's actually I'm working on getting the thing finished through. When that goes through, and I'll put that up on YouTube, and I'll upload it onto my podcast. And then I will get that up there, and then but I'll probably add ones that seem kind of interesting to me. I'm not just gonna do like every single one, because that would make a series so long that it wouldn't even be funny. And with that, it would just make it because I could essentially, if I kept adding on a bunch of them, there would easily be over a couple hundred that I could easily add if I was not just focusing on the more interesting ones in history. And I'll probably focus on I could probably focus on a series on like more interesting world leaders, and kind of give an actual more legitimate story that actually exists out there, because I know there's a lot of hogwash out there that ends up being either a brushing over them to make them look better than they are, or end up going over them to make them look worse than they really are. And kind of taking over a different little look with it could actually be kind of interesting. And it'll give an interesting kind of viewpoint on some of these world leaders that will essentially kind of cover these things a little bit differently. Um, and when it comes down to other topics with it, I'll probably just play it out by heart, and see what ends up happening. Um, I could also end up kind of going through an actual journey with it of I think I might go through some more of the of actually private stuff with it, of on my own stuff, on like the personal stuff with it, because I know I have a personal log on there, and then I want to add to that just to kind of more explain that some things that are like on the personal education side, and really kind of explain how originally I did not like history, because history was when I was growing up was actually taught uh, about just basically just nonstop war. And 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 that was basically the problem, that when I was growing up with it, teachers would basically just they would tend to focus on the aspects of war and brush over everything else. So unless you were going over some like cultural aspect, I found history to be very, very boring, and I found it to just be a complete and utter waste of time. So in many classes, I mean historically in my educational career, I would be getting like C's in history uh, from like seventh grade and on, and this was something that was very, very typical. And the reason why is because I found war so boring that it was I found it completely useless, because it was just basically glorifying bloodshed. And I've never been very, very fascinated with basically glorifying bloodshed. And they go, but there was this and this and this and this, and there was other people that were interested in it. I'm like, how could you actually be interested in any of this? And none of it ever interests me. But when we started to, but if you actually focus on the actual cultures of the actual things, now cultures actually have always interested me, and I've always had an interest in talking to people from other cultures, and that's something that is always intrigued me, because when you talk about cultures, when you talk about religions, when you talk about all these other aspects of life, just communication, and how the way we react with one another, and it's just something that is very, very it's something that's very, very special, that I think that is something unique that we can study. And that's just something that's always been unique, and something about the legends of each area. And even talking about going back into prehistory with some of the anthropology, now that stuff interests me, because that goes back to previous to when we're talking about war, when we're talking about actually animals, like going to like dinosaurs and stuff like that. That always interests me. But when you get to the point of like war and stuff like that, that was something where I would always bomb. So in school with it, that would lead me to be more interested in stuff like math and science. Uh, and that would traditionally be the throughout junior high. That would be my focal point of where I was my best at. And the reason why is because it wouldn't be focusing on those things within. That would be where I do a better job at. Um, and it was something, and that's something that I think has, even though I did not focus on that later on in life with it, it still is basically, when it comes down to it, is the reason why I went toward my focus on where I am now, is because you kind of realize that, okay, it's not all about all of this war when it comes to history. There's a lot more aspects to it. It's only the history on war is such a narrow band. And if you look at the time that is spent, that we actually spend in war, is such a narrow, specific amount, and the amount that is covered for all of the people around the globe that are actually not warring is such a wide span throughout the actual history of mankind, you would actually understand that there's so much more to focus on, and that's where you tend to realize that, um, and that's where I tended to kind of realize that almost going into when I went to college later on. Actually, that's not long ago. That's only a few years ago, and we're talking like was it 7 years? Like 6, 7, like about 6 years ago, or actually about 7 years ago now, because I've been about out almost about a year, and so we're talking that it was about because and it allowed me to kind of learn a lot more about what was talked about for history than just about a narrow band. And as I explained with it, the reason why I went so late is because I had the thing of being a chef. Then I went through the injury, which really kind of beyond crippled me, and I had to kind of work back from that. And there was also a lot of other issues that were going on in between uh, that I had to kind of pull myself up from. Nothing, what I call it, nothing dangerous on health, so don't worry about that. After the back injury, so nothing like substance abuse or anything like that. So I never went in that route. It was just what I call through mental health issues. That were a definite. There were definite. Were definitely were caused by the catalyst of the of OCD, in which I've always had, and the back problems, which end up ending my career before. Now, anybody that's basically had their career ended, in which this would have been at age 26, if you have your career ended at age 26, you're going to have problems. And I think this is where we're going, what actually happened. And it was an actual issue that I ended up having. And it's just and that's basically where I got to where I was. And I think I'll do a lot more into those points, and I'm not gonna go fully into like every single minute issue, because I mean I'm not one of like those people that want to basically just to basically want to talk about every aspect of their lives, because uh, that's frankly a little bit obsessive to want to basically make online into their own little home journal, and want to basically express that with everyone. And I'm not that self-serving to do that. But for people who want to just kind of give a little bit of a piece of that, so they can kind of learn how to actually pick themselves up and actually move on, and actually see you can actually move on with your life and actually do something with yourself, and it's actually is possible. And that's my real reasoning for it. It's not for actually any self-serving purpose, but actually for the reason of helping people out, and actually showing that you had no reason. There is no reason at all in life to give up. I've always in my life have been that person to beat a dead horse, and I feel that what I call always beat a dead horse, and within keep on going and keep on fighting, because eventually you will win. Eventually the dead horse is gonna get up with it one of those times, and you are going to win. And that's just if you keep on trying with it, you will succeed, and that's just what ends up happening. And I think that if more people did that, more people end up being very, very ambitious about that, that there wouldn't be people out there asking for free handouts and all these other things, and being more pro liberty and being proactive about liberty out there. And I think that's really more what I want this channel to kind of become, is this pro liberty force. And if it means kind of being a little more lighthearted in certain aspects, or being a little more having to be a little more laid back to do so, and having to kind of take it out in different ways, that if I have to take it in a gaming route, in certain points of view, or even if I'm playing older games that I like, uh, or even I have arcade games that I'll occasionally play, uh, and if I have to do that with it, to just kind of spread out a positive word, and uh, do this through YouTube. And even if it takes like that with it, I'll do it. But it's basically, my idea is to kind of have an enjoyable time out there with this channel. See if I can't make it successful, get some people out there, and that's the end purpose with it. And eventually, when I get my fiance here, through everything I fought through with, you'll probably learn more with that when I kind of have that trip and everything. And then uh, and then we can and then I can, once I get her here, then I'll invite her a lot more onto the channel, and then you'll be able to get to meet her, and see how wonderful she is, and see how funny she is, and intelligent she is, and everybody will get to kind of realize that she has the same type of passion for liberty, and realize that even though she's not as much into history and politics, you'll see that she has her own interests with it when it comes to ideas of math and engineering and things like that. And I'm probably just going to cut it right here with it, and then look to kind of see to push this channel forward and see what we're going to do forward. And I will see you guys tomorrow, because looks like I'm going to put the looks like it's probably not going to be till tomorrow till I can get the new video up tomorrow morning. I was hoping for tonight, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen that way. Looks like it's kind of being a little bit slow today. So that's about it, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.